I tell you, it has been quite some time since we've done much up here, but I kind of had a hankering for it, and there's some things in the house that needs to be done. But there is one thing before we get going. I'd like to send out a big congratulations to Thomas Russell. Thomas is a regular viewer of ours. He's been with us since the beginning of the channel. Be 3 years next month. Thomas is one of those guys who worked hard his whole life. Thomas, he was a truck driver, he did construction, he did just about everything you could do to abuse the hell out of your body until it caught up with him to a point to where he couldn't physically do it anymore. But he's found ways of working around stuff. Thomas has worked his ass off for the last number of years trying to get his college degree so he could become a teacher. I just see in the comments section from yesterday's live feed, I haven't had a chance to respond to it yet, but I just see that Thomas has graduated. So I'd love to congratulate Thomas. Job well done, buddy. I'm so happy for you. You work your ass off for it. You deserve every bit of success that you get out of it. It's not easy for a guy middle-aged to go back to school, learn a whole new bag, get through all that. And I tell you what, I give him some major credit because there's a lot of us that couldn't do it. So without further ado, what we are working on tonight. I'm going to show you guys where I've done a little bit of goofy insulating. We'll see what you guys think of that. We talked about it last night in the live feed. I've got to start doing some work on, we got to get our TV and everything moved inside the house. My mother-in-law sent some furniture down to us and it's huge, so things need to get redesigned in the living room area. But what I'm working on is a kind of like a corner shelf that's going to act as our TV stand, things like that. But I'm going to do a series of shelves. There's going to be a tall one, probably be about 60 inches high, maybe taller. And it's all going to attach to the wall. I have a wooden wall right there, drywall on the other side. I was going to use a huge piece of black cherry I had that I'd milled for a mantelpiece, but I got looking at it and I decided I'd rather not use that there, especially it won't be seen. I mean, it'll be seen, but you guys know what I'm saying. I measured up my live edge elm slabs that we milled a few years ago, and they're perfect. Absolute perfect length. The long point I have is 60.77 inches. I will convert that over to 16ths, and so it should be 16 times 0.77, and that will give you how many 16ths that is. So anyway, we're going to work on that, but I have to get some of the stuff cleaned up, make room again. This thing has not been used as a wood shop since last year, really, or last winter, so it's time. It is nice and warm in here. I've had the wood stove going probably the last 5 or 6 hours. It's finally warming up. Obviously, we're missing a whole ton of insulation, but every little bit I do up here is a big help, and it helps carry it on. So anyway, stay tuned. I hope you guys enjoy it. We're going to lead off with some fancy spray foaming, all that good stuff, and then we're going to go into maybe getting a little bit of this cleanup done, maybe getting the router sled set up. Who knows? We'll see how far we get, and I'll see you on the other side of it. Let's see here. Well, I did rescue another tool from the pit of despair tonight. We're going to move that up here, start getting that back together. It's my big radial arm saw. It's a 12-incher, 220-volt DeWalt. And I tell you what, that was a mighty heavy carry across the yard. But I want to get this stuff cleaned up first. Probably figure this right here is less than a full can to do what I did last night. So I figure this would be a lot cheaper and faster than going to buy wood right now. Although I'd rather just put the wood down, but you make do where you have to make do. Okay, I said we'd be surfacing another elm slab tonight. We've got a really nice one here, but it has a pretty good cup in it. And if you guys have been watching for a long time, you've seen us take care of these before. So let's see what we have. Let's get some measurements here. Now I need almost 61 inches from long point to long point. And obviously I want this part, let's see here. I want this guy right here. I want that facing out. And I have (61 3/8 inch, so we are cutting it pretty darn close. Now as far as our bow goes, at least on the bench, which this bench is not the most accurate depiction of what we have. We have just over a 1/4 inch cup on that end, and just under a 1/4 inch on this end. So what we want to do, and there's nothing fancy, like I said, if you guys have watched this channel for a while, you've seen us do this before. I'm basically going to mount 2 rails on the side of the bench. We're going to get a couple of shims under that end so it's got a little rock to it. We don't want that. And then we're going to level it all off best we can. And then we're just going to sit here for a little while and run that router sled across there. It actually works pretty quickly. If I have a cup in something, I like to set the cup so it's up first. It makes it more stable. Otherwise it's not rocking on us quite so bad. So we're going to get to that. We're going to get set up, get the rails on, and I guess we're finally going to get moving here. The slob like me, I know there's plenty of shim stock kicking around here. You don't need a lot, just anything to keep this thing from rocking on you. And a little bit there. Let's see, we have another one. Told you guys there's plenty. And part of that is this bench top is not perfect. But give it a couple of good presses down. Make sure you're not moving at all. Pretty good there too. It's not a bad idea to take a couple of blocks and screw it onto the side so this thing can't move on you. If you're not, you don't have to go crazy. Hey, push stick. You don't have to go crazy pushing on these things to get them to do what you want. There's nothing that's all that, it's not really hard work if you let the router do its job. It's just kind of time consuming. That is the most annoying sound on the face of the earth. Well, boy, they just work well. What else do I have? I know I have more blocks kicking around here. Ha, there's one. Problem with small blocks in this workshop is they usually end up in the wood stove. So if you've been having a long, full day in the shop, it doesn't always, you don't always have what you need when it comes to that stuff. All right, so this piece right here, the part that you use for your rails, be any piece of scrap you have kicking around, as long as the edge better have a really nice, good straight edge on it, so and keep from dropping it. A nice straight edge, sight down along it, because any little dip or divot in that thing from running it through the table saw crooked, anything like that is going to make it so it's inaccurate. It's going to throw your piece off, and you're going to scream, you're going to swear, you're going to go and kick the dog. and nobody wants that. So we have 2 inches there. And I go to my highest point. So we have 2 1/8 there. And we have 2 1/4 there. So we're gonna go to like 2 3/8. Hopefully that'll do it. So I'm just gonna measure down. Kind of get this where it's gonna live a little bit. We'll go 2 1/2 to be safe. Now get it as close as you can before you sink that screw in there. And keep in mind, once you screw this in, you're going to leave these rails in until you are done. Because if you don't, you go to move them, you're going to throw things off on yourself. Sink a couple more just to be safe. Do not want this moving. And check your marks often. I only mark 2 points when I do this. And they're right there, cool. And do the same thing on the other side. All right, for those of you who like to know how the results come out afterwards, we have a 4-foot level on here, and I have no daylight that way, and I have absolutely no daylight that way. That's what we're looking for. I'm telling you, for a wide slab like this, I've never found anything that's going to do a better job getting it level, getting it true, than using a router sled. It just seems to work really well. Now we have a couple spots here where I didn't quite go deep enough, but they're only about maybe a 1/16 of an inch low. So what we're going to do, we're going to take care of those spots with a belt sander, because that's the only thing with a router sled. You're left with a lot of lines. It doesn't seem to matter if you're using a surfacing bit or whatever. You still have to hit it good with a belt sander. We're going to hit it with a 36 grit paper. Bring it all down. We'll have to be careful that we don't dig in too much, but there's some really nice figure in this. Let's see if I can get you a closer shot of that. Let's see if I can keep my shadow out of here, but you can see we get some really pretty figure in this elm, and when we get this sanded out, it'll be really nice. Unfortunately, probably nobody's ever really going to see this too much because it's going to have a TV sitting on it, but I like the live edge. I like the thicker slabs, so we'll just go with it from there. Now this is right near the pith. You can see where we kind of go right through it. So we'll probably have to put a couple of bow ties in it to stabilize it, but that won't take too long to do this one. Famous last words, right? Hopefully we're in focus there. Gonna put our feet up next to the wood stove. It's nice and toasty in here tonight, even with all the missing insulation, but pretty sure it was the same story last winter. But so anyway, that's what we're working on this weekend. I'm going to try to get it done. It probably won't be 100% done because obviously we'll have to put a few coats of poly on it. Can't talk. I'm getting late. But so yeah, it's kind of nice to be up here. This second floor is my favorite spot in this barn. It's pardon me, I have a cold. It's my favorite spot up here because you can see all the timbers. It's a wooden floor. downstairs and is nice and all that, but it's a lot more totalitarian just with the concrete and everything else. I kind of like this up here. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know a lot of you like the woodworking stuff a lot more than the blacksmithing stuff, but we do a little bit of everything here, so most of you folks know that. And again, congratulations, Thomas, on a job well done. Awesome you graduated. I'm so excited for you. You can get after it, buddy. Go get your teaching job and everything will get a little bit better for you. So anyway, have a good night, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.